Right, welcome to yet another episode of the Keep It or Change Cars podcast. Proudly brought to you by Change Cars, the country's most trusted online car buying platform. So, as I always say, if you're looking for a car, motorbike, we're also doing caravans, quad bikes, boats, you name it. The tab is called Leisure. It's on the site, so look out for that. Gents, welcome.
Thank you. Always good to be here.
Good to see you again.
Thank you and I appreciate it. But today we've got a superb guest with us.
We've got a superb guest, Alan Rosenmeyer. So Alan is a very, very good friend of Change Cars and all things motoring.
Absolutely so, and deservedly so, because
Yes.
you guys are doing such good stuff.
That's awesome.
But what is Alan's signature trait? If you don't know Alan,
Yes.
then you don't know journalism.
Go
But
for
what
it.
is his signature trait?
They call him the man with the hat, right?
Yeah, that is.
Alan,
My brand, as you can see there, that's the brand.
roughly, just say to within 200, how many hats do you have?
Around 30 odd
Really?
of this style, yeah.
That's incredible.
So
What,
you've got one for every day of the month.
No, one to match whatever I'm wearing, because the color coordination side
That's
of things
important.
is,
Okay.
my wife has taught me I have to be coordinated.
Okay, so our first question today is from Simon. Simon says, "Hi guys, my name is Simon, and I'm from a very small farming town called Vryheid in KZN. Never been there, I must say, but I am from KZN as well. He says I caught your show with Adam
Ford?
Adam Ford, yes. And I'm also a keen follower of Buyer's Guide. So Buyer's Guide, for those who don't know, is a show that we love. You've been on Buyer's Guide?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You've been on Buyer's Guide?
Channel 1. Alan and myself have been on Buyer's Guide together. If you go onto YouTube,
Quite a few times, yeah.
Correct.
A few
Correct.
times. So Simon says, my question really does fit the name of the podcast, which is Keep It or Change Cars, right? And he says he'd like to know if you should keep it or change cars. He has a 23-year-old Toyota RAV4, and it only has 147,000 kilometers on it. He says, please can you and your guests give me your opinion of the car? Should I keep it and why? And if we tell him to replace it, what options do we have for him?
I don't think we're going to have an easier question today. Alan, you go first. I'd love to hear your opinion and see if I agree with it.
Okay, one thing we don't know what condition this car is in. It's 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at Toyota, we all know 147,000 Ks is ridiculously low. That can go 400,000, that engine,
Plus.
easy. So he's got no issue there. So unless, also KZN, Vryheid, I don't know how close he is to the coast, things
I
like
think
that.
a bit
So,
far.
No, Vryheid is
Yeah.
far from the coast.
okay, so there's no rust issue there.
Everything there leans itself to him keeping the car. Couple of things. He's had it 23 years. 147,000 Ks. That is ludicrously low. When I say ludicrously low, there's a Toyota dealer, an exceptional Toyota dealer in Vryheid. What possible reason would he change it? However, sometimes you get an itch, and possibly once you change it. I've got two suggestions for him.
Okay. I
Under
would keep
60,000
it and
Ks,
buy
he says.
another car if I really have to buy another car for any particular
It's
reason.
good for any motor dealer. Keep it. Buy another one.
Yeah.
Buy one for your wife. Buy one for your sister.
Oh, maybe he's got a kid that's about to get their license or something. If he's
For
had
sure.
Give him the
23
23-year-old RAV4.
Yeah. Wow. Come on. As
What
a
would you
first
say?
car?
So definitely keep it. But
Yeah.
if he is going to change it, stick with what you know. I'm going to give him two options. Go to another RAV4. You don't even have to go to a new one. Go to a 10-year-old, 12-year-old RAV4.
I agree,
Absolutely brilliant. I did mention about the Toyota dealer being in Vryheid. That is key. Again, you know how much I respect the Cherry brand. You know how much we respect the Haval brand. You're not going to find a Cherry or Haval dealer in Vryheid.
Not in Vryheid, no.
The other option, Nissan X-Trail or Nissan Qashqai.
That's
Similar.
it.
Actually, the Qashqai, I must say, the
Yeah.
Qashqai for me, the 1.5 diesel, love it.
Well, if you want economy with everything else built
And the
in.
torque, economy and the torque.
Yeah. Look, X-Trail, particularly they've just launched the new one, as we know, but if you go back one or even two generations, they're known to be tough, they're reliable.
So one of the things I always assume, if he's considering keeping it, budget has to be a consideration for everybody. This car is worth roughly 70, 80,000. To put in another 150 or 200,000 would be big money. You're not going to be putting in 6 or 700,000. For 250,000 Rand, you'll get a superb Qashqai or superb RAV4 in that category.
Simon, you can keep it or change cars in this instance, right?
100%.
Looking to buy a new or used car? Visit changecars.co.za. Our next question is from Lebo, who is a youth, very young person, 21 years old, also from KZN, in a town named Stanger. I think I've heard of I've been to Stanger, I must be honest, in the north.
Correct. So past Belito, you carry on down
towards
the
airport,
coast.
towards the new airport.
Past the new airport. Correct.
Past the new airport.
Correct.
I've lived in KZN. I don't know about you.
You obviously didn't enjoy living in KZN.
Not much. But anyway, he has a really cool question for us. Lebo wants to know why it seems that back in the olden days, people were more concerned about performance than they are today. So he refers to car tests in particular and how it seems that no one really references speed and kilowatts and 0 to 100 anymore when they write about cars, etc. Now, his question is, do we place more emphasis on tech versus performance, or do we believe performance is actually key in cars?
For me, it's always about how a car drives. So I am performance crazy. Okay, when I say performance crazy, it doesn't have to be high performance. I just like the way a car performs. A 1 liter turbo, a 1.2 liter turbo.
Do you have anything that's less than a V8?
I do, of course. A 3.8 V6. I think they evolved into a V8. But the way a car drives for me is because of the engine. So to answer the question regarding performance, I still place a great emphasis on performance. However, and I'm sure you will agree, Alan, you speak to young people, and Lebo is young.
21, yeah.
They don't have a care in the world about what engine, what gearbox. They want to know if it's got Android, Apple CarPlay, all the tech.
Air gesture.
They need all the tech, number one. They want reliability. And if it's a youngster who's buying the car himself, he wants to know fuel economy.
Correct.
That's a massive one these days. Now, I'll speak for myself here. Unless you've got proper equipment or you go to Geritech or something like that, what's the use of quoting numbers like that which you haven't done yourself? I regularly get comments because I like to track fuel economy on my test cars and I use the car's computer, I'll be honest. And people, the other day I got somebody commenting, yeah, but the car's computers aren't accurate. Why aren't you using a more accurate measure? Now, there is one guy, Mark Jones from Citizen, who goes to Geritech and he does these accurate measurements. That's fine. But then again, also, your average car today, and I know that's a horrible generalization, does it matter whether it's going to do 0 to 100 in 5 seconds or 8 seconds?
They're quick. Generally,
all cars today are quick.
Exactly.
But if you want absolute proof, Alan, go look at a car magazine from the 80s or the 90s or 2000s. It would have been a VW City Golf, and they would have said 1,300, 55 kilowatts, 68 Newton meters of torque, whatever. Today, no car mentions performance unless it's high performance. The Lamborghini, the Porsches, the Bentleys, no question. They will mention it because they're trumpeting it. Okay? But a middle-of-the-range car, you won't
really
have
matter,
a clue.
does it?
What I like to quote in my tests is I'll mention the kilowatt output, yes, but I'm more about, for example, take it on the freeway. What's it like overtaking when you're at 120 on a freeway? You know, you have to send an application in triplicate to apply for permission to overtake that car, or can you put your foot down and go and do it safely? Because you don't always have 3 lanes.
I thought I had good sayings, Alan. Just say that again. You have to apply in triplicate for what?
Permission to overtake,
And he just spoke about Insure what?
Triplicate. We're going to trademark that.
Triplicate.
But I think
new word for the day.
But I think it's clear for Lebo. The emphasis, no question, has changed. Performance will always be key for a certain portion of the population, but that proportion of the population has diminished. Before it was 80% who cared about performance, 20% who didn't care. Today it's 20% who care, 80% who don't care.
With the rare exception of certain cars that Gugu, you and I get on tests that are pure performance.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that too. And it's bragging rights. You know, you buy that kind of car, you want to know that it does 0 to 100 in 2.8 or 2.9.
But then take something like the recently launched Honda Civic Type R. How many kilowatts has the latest generation gone up from the previous generation?
5 or 7?
7
minimal.
kilowatts.
7,
Newton meters, 20 Newton meters. Look, I'm a very happy camper because I've got the old generation. So now I feel like I can still keep it. But again, let that talk to you that it's not a massive emphasis on performance. They haven't gone up 10%. They've gone up 2%, literally.
Lebo, I hope that answers your question.
And if it doesn't, we blame Alan. I tried my best. Come on.
Lovely. Want SA's leading insurance? Visit changecars.co.za and click on the Discovery logo. All right, it's time for our lady fans now. And we didn't start with the ladies because we always save the best for last. Nogupila is 36 and she's a qualified teacher. Believe it or not, she's also from KZN. I don't know how we managed to get all the KZN
popular in
people,
KZN.
which is good. But from PMB, Peter Maritzburg. Now, she's keen to know, why do all cars today seem like copies of each other, right? She says she started driving back in 2005, and in her opinion, cars back then felt different. And now, I mean, she says her mom has or had a BMW 323i, and her dad had a Mercedes-Benz C280. And back in the day, those two cars felt worlds apart. Today, she says she drives two different cars, luxury cars, and everything feels the same. Is that
Alan,
correct?
I've been driving for 32 years.
Yeah.
Yourself, even longer.
A bit longer than that, yeah.
33, 34?
Keep going.
Just 2 years on my side.
Over 40. Can I leave it at that?
So the short answer,
Yeah.
I fully agree with her. The long answer is much more in depth. 10, 20 years ago, you drove a BMW, you drove a Mercedes, you drove an Audi. Even if you were just in the car,
Not even 20, 10 years ago, yeah.
even if you weren't driving it, I could honestly say to you, I would have told you with my eyes closed as a passenger, I'm not in a BMW, I'm not in a Mercedes. What has changed, Alan?
Technology, number one, to me, and also refinement. You've got all the manufacturers these days that the level of refinement has become so incredible that, in fact, it's almost become what they term analog these days.
Sterile almost.
It's sterile.
Just
Yeah,
point
or
it in the right
analog, yeah.
direction, and that's it. That's all you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I started driving, if somebody said to me, get an automatic car.
No ways. Are you crazy?
I mean,
I'm not an old
excuse me,
man.
A, I'm not old, and B, you don't drive an automatic, you point it.
Yeah.
That was my sort of comment at that stage. Now, when I get a manual on test, it's like, unless I can take it through to Hearties on the twisties
It's a novelty
and play
now,
with it,
right?
besides the novelty, please do not make me go anywhere in traffic. My knees are too old, and I suffer.
But what is interesting, and we're talking about cars becoming sterile versus 20, 30 years ago. 20 years ago, 10 years ago, even Mercedes, to the best of my knowledge, were making their own gearboxes. BMW were making their own gearboxes. Today, there's so much shared components. So 40, 50% of all cars are the same. I tell you, when I get into a car today, I find all modern cars essentially boring. You drive a lot of cars. Do you find modern cars boring?
To say. Now imagine my job, a person who needs to review cars on a weekly, and it's like, there's no personality in this thing. What am I going to say about this besides talking about the tech and the safety? That's normally now the talking point, but it's just similar. It's all similar. There's nothing to feel. There's no difference in personality. And I think I've complained to you about BMWs.
And I've done nothing about it.
Not that you can in this case. But BMWs, for me, I've always been a fan of how the cars drive. The driving dynamics, planted, solid, engaging, and that's changed. They don't make them like that anymore.
I'll tell you something else, and now we're not just picking on BMW, but I have said and watched a number of my videos, my biggest problem with BMW, you can get into a 1 Series or an 8 Series and sit behind the wheel, and there's no difference.
Fundamentally the same.
The
same family genealogy.
dashboard, the same, the entire cockpit, can I call it, is just the same. And to me, you're talking a 500,000 Rand car to a 2.5 million Rand car. And like, why?
But now, interesting that you spoke about BMW, and this is an absolute compliment. The nicest range in the BMW range at the moment. Listen, everybody's going to have a different opinion. For me, is a 1 Series. I'm absolutely blown away by the new shape 1 Series, the 2020 and up. I love the dimensions. I love the front. I love the dashboard. I love everything. What I was shocked at, and I pride myself on being up to date, the 128. So it's a 2-liter. The 120, the 128, and the 135 all use the same 2-liter engine in different stages of tune. 128, which are the drive wheels? Sporty
it used
cars.
to be a rear-wheel drive. Now it's a
Front-wheel
front-wheel
drive.
You're about the 128 Ti.
128 Ti is a front-wheel drive
Front-wheel
car.
drive.
The sportiest looking one in the 128, in the 1 Series. The 135 is higher, all-wheel drive, X-Drive.
Yes.
But the sportiest looking, let our listeners, viewers, fans go on and see. The 128 looks like an M car, front-wheel drive.
But you know
it's funny.
what the other thing of the 128?
I'm going to moderate you. You go first.
Sorry, Googs. But the numbers, now we're talking the numbers, on the 128 are within, I think, 1% of the Golf GTI. You know that?
In terms of kilowatts,
kilowatts and
that's what I was
Newton
about to say. That car was developed to go after the GTI. Front-wheel drive.
Exactly.
Sharp
what is
handling.
the kilowatts on the GTI? 180.
Is it 180 or 184?
I thought it was 180.
Yeah.
128,
Okay,
180
no.
on the nose.
Yeah. And I mean, when they launched the 128,
Yeah.
which was about 2-3 years ago,
Correct.
it was like, we are tackling the GTI.
Yeah, literally.
That has ruled this little niche market. So we'll take them on.
I found one on the Change Cars website, and I'm honest with you when I say, with God as my witness, I saw front-wheel drive, and I thought, okay, I've got to phone the IT guys. We've got a bit of an error here. I go Google it. I learned something. But that is essentially how cars have changed. BMW, rear-wheel drive, by the seat of your pants. Even the BMW, I think, has become a little bit more sterile.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that front-wheel drive has developed over the last. The first really popular front-wheel drive cars were the early to mid-'80s.
Correct, 83, 84.
Yeah, there were a few before that, but where they became popular and where, I mean, even cars like the Toyota Corolla suddenly went from rear-wheel drive to front-wheel drive. And everybody was, they're not as safe and they're not this, they're not that. Again, the word technology.
When people ask me what do I prefer, front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, I'm easy. Ask me.
What do you prefer?
I sit on the fence. I like all-wheel drive.
Audi. Oh, yes.
I
Audi.
promise you, I'm a huge fan. I mean, I know this is a slightly different direction, but you take front-wheel drive, you feel the cars pulling you. You take rear-wheel drive, you feel the cars pushing you. All-wheel drive, the car's just neutral. I absolutely love that.
Why would you not enjoy a tail-happy car? Question.
Born in 1973. Sorry, what's the question? Does that answer it?
So the other answer to that one is, I guarantee you, if you had to stop 10 people walking past the studio now and ask them, is your car front or rear-wheel drive? And if some of them did, and you say, well, what's the difference? They wouldn't know that either. They buy the car that suits them and suits their pocket and their needs. Simple as that.
Right. So ultimately, I think to answer Nogupila, refinement.
100% right.
Refinement.
Absolutely.
That's the reason why.
Absolutely. And like we said, every car's got access to the same shared technology.
That too.
Much cheaper to use a shared gearbox instead of developing your own. But she's spot on in terms of her gut feel, where she says they've changed.
There's one other thing I'll just chuck in here. If you take the popularity of crossover SUVs, which are 40% of the market in South Africa now, 39 or 40, what can you do with that shape? It's a blob. And secondly, they worry about aerodynamics, which rules it and governs it even more. So how different can any crossover SUV be to the others?
Sure, very true.
And I think that if she's talking purely visual, that's the answer on that side.
But we'd like to get her on the show and as a journo.
Let's get on with it. Need advice? Visit changecars.co.za and click on the Keep It or Change Cars tab. Lastly, we've got Karen, who's a mother of a 12-year-old girl, and she lives in the northern suburbs of Cape Town, Milnerton, to be exact. You've lived in Cape Town.
I did live in Cape Town, not in the southern suburbs, on the Atlantic seaboard, near the waterfront, actually.
Oh, okay. You say waterfront, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Somewhere between the southern suburbs and north. Told you, I'm a sit on the fence type guy.
In the middle. Okay, so she says her current car is a Nissan Micra 2019 Ascenta Plus with only 49,000 Ks on it, which is very little. She says the car will be paid off in June this year, and she financed it over 4 years. The question now she has for us is, what would we advise her to do, right? Would we tell her to keep it or change cars? That's what we do. Again, if we say she should sell it, what are the options that we would recommend to her? Keep it or change cars?
Personally, again,
always comes back to that.
Everything is in her favor to keep it. I am probably the worst salesman because I always want to tell you what is right for you. Car's fully paid off, 48 months. Interest rates are at an all-time high. You've got super low mileage. You've got a car that is still the current shape. The Nissan Micra of 2019, the Ascenta Plus, is still the same shape.
Yeah.
The car looks good. What do you replace it with that you're going forward?
You got me at interest rates. Don't do it.
100%.
Yeah.
But look how clever she is. For our audience, just look what a good decision she's made and the beautiful position she's in. Car's fully paid off 1 year earlier than most people would do it, 5 years.
Yeah.
Some people do it over 6 years with residual. She's now got choices. Interest rates are against her. Keep it, and she can safely keep it. If she wants to replace it, I do have an option, but I'm going to hear your thoughts.
Okay, I fully agree with that age, etc., and paid up. I mean, what a pleasure.
49,000 Ks.
49,000 Ks, brand new. I mean,
It's brand new, 5 years old, 44 years old.
4 years old.
12,000 Ks a year.
Everything says keep it. But there's one thing that triggered in my mind. Her daughter's now 12 years old. The Micra is a pretty small car.
Are you saying the daughter's growing up?
No, her daughter is growing up.
Yeah.
Maybe friends, whatever. It could be time, if she wants to change, to move up to something a little bit bigger.
Fair enough.
So if she's going to change it,
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Corolla Cross, or maybe if she doesn't want to go that high, even that new urban cruiser they just launched.
Mm-hmm.
Nice conservative choice. Look, we don't know what her kind of budget is, but I'm thinking if the Micra that time, we're not talking sort of, way up.
Sure.
What can I say, under Tucson kind of money. I think she would be more urban cruiser, maybe to a Corolla Cross, which would be great choices. Nissan, even the Qashqai, is probably a little bit out of it.
I'm going with Nissan, but something slightly different.
Yeah, but
and I like the
Qashqai.
idea. Magneto.
Magneto,
yeah.
yes.
So similar engine, 900 turbo. It might even be the exact same engine.
But that's the same category as the urban
Why
cruiser.
I often say Nissan when you got a Nissan. I guarantee you in the 4 years she's had the car, she knows the people at the local Nissan dealership, Monitor Nissan, lovely Nissan dealership. She goes in, she'll know the salespeople. They will give her a top price. That car is worth not less than 225,000 Rand. She might not get that as a trade-in, but she'll get that on the open market, 225. Nissan Magnite, brand new, just on the 300,000 Rand mark. 75,000 Rand. If you don't buy it cash, she'll finance it over 2 years, it over 18 months. So again, look at how the decision in the beginning to finance it over 48 months, have a fully paid up car, low mileage, everything is playing out in her favor. If she replaces it, what would you have said?
I think I like the Magnite. Stay within the family. I've driven the Magnites because
You're
there's a Kaiga.
Change Cars diehard. I love it.
No, there's a Kaiga, right? The Kaiga is it's the same car basically, but the cars feel completely different. And I'm Magnite. Having driven both, Magneto.
I've driven both.
Yeah.
And I didn't think Magnite, I'll be honest. So thanks for that. But it comes into that category I was talking. Absolutely. So as you say, if she's happy with the Nissan brand, then South Africans tend to be brand loyal.
For sure.
Good, very good move, that.
Another good thing that I'd just like to mention to her, we can recommend a car, the Magnite. She goes in, drives the Magnite. She says, oh my word, I'm going backwards. Oh my word, I love the car. Go drive another car, same thing. You cannot buy a car without driving it. I mean, I know we're speaking about cars feeling sterile and they all feel the same, but cars have different driving positions. Cars still do have a few different characteristics, but I really do think keep the car. The beautiful thing is if she keeps that car for another year, what would you imagine 1 year from now with another 12,000 kilos it will devalue, roughly? If it's worth 220, 100%.
Yeah, be minimum, maybe 5% or something.
That car will be worth 205, 210,000, just because new car prices will go up. So she's got time.
But and she'll have 12 months worth of payments in cash.
And
That'll
she'll
go a long way towards that
yes.
75 grand she would have to put in.
Smart man.
And she'll have a teenage daughter who hopefully is made prefect. So she'll know exactly how many friends she's got and then make the right decision.
Nice one. Kieran, I hope we've been able to help you. Keep it. If you want to change it, you can, but you've got a good vehicle. Alan, thank you so much for joining us today. We really loved having you here. Great insights. And Mike, as always, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And for you, if you have any more questions or any car-related queries, whether it's car buying, car selling, car servicing, financing, insurance, whatever it is, email us, podcast@changecars.co.za, and we'll get the best people to answer your questions. Get onto the site if you're looking for a vehicle or a boat. We've got a new tab on the site, by the way. It's called Leisure. Get onto changecars.co.za, click on Leisure. You'll find jet skis, boats, caravans, whatever it is. And if you're looking for insurance, click on the Discovery tab. We endorse the best and we want the best for you. For South Africa's best motoring content, catch All Things Motoring on DSTV channel 189 and on YouTube. New episodes every week.